But as a Remainer, I want to gloat this week. After months of listening to the Brexiteers like Nick and Carol telling us to forget our opposition to leaving the European Union and to just accept the reality, suddenly it's not reality at all. A soft Brexit is not only back on the agenda, but looks more likely than not. Make no mistake, last week's election results were a victory for those of us who have been arguing that if we are to leave the EU, it must be on sensible terms for both sides. Terms which can only be achieved by proper discussion, not by threats and bullying Theresa May style. Now is the time for the members of Parliament who are Remainers, Labour, Tory, Liberal and SNP, who never supported Brexit, and certainly not a hard Brexit, to put their tribal differences aside and get together. After all, between them, they are the majority of MPs. It's time for them to tell Mrs May, and possibly even tell Messrs Corbyn and MacDonald, where to get off. They should tell her, in particular, we are the masters now.
I just think that's funny. There's absolutely,
that's the first thing I've said in 10 weeks.
No facts, no evidence to support your claim that last week's vote was about the electorate rejecting Brexit. And there's not a shred of evidence that the British people have changed their minds about
She's
Brexit.
in denial.
No, I'm not in denial. You guys are.
You're in
denial. You say, this gives us a sensible conversation. The sensible conversation for you guys is that we stay in the customs union, that we stay in the single market. That's no Brexit. That's not a soft Brexit. That's no Brexit. Because Leavers voted to leave the single market. They knew exactly what they were doing. They voted to leave the single market. They voted for free trade around the world and with the EU. And they voted to control our borders. So your sensible conversation isn't what their sensible conversation is.
The problem was, with those two things, leaving the customs union, leaving the single market, wasn't on the side of a bus, was it, for the referendum?
Oh, that's just such...
So people weren't... But people weren't voting for that. They didn't... people weren't in the referendum. That wasn't the question they were asked.
85% of the people who voted in this election voted for pro-Brexit parties.
But that's such a false statistic in the sense that...
a false statistic.
Because people voted for the Labour Party, it doesn't mean they were also voting for Brexit.
In their manifesto, the Labour Party said we had to leave not leaving, even John McDonnell said it last week, not leaving the single union was a betrayal of people who voted Brexit.
But
he said
hang on, MacDonald was never in favour. He's always been a Brexiteer, as has Corbyn. But the vast bulk of the people who voted for the Labour Party didn't vote for Brexit.
7 out of 10 Labour constituencies voted for Brexit.
Yes,
that's not true.
Sure, but no, I said the people who voted for the Labour Party.
Greg, just to clarify, are you saying there should now be no Brexit or a gentle Brexit?
No, it should be a gentle Brexit.
What's a gentle?
But then I say, I'm sorry, I think if you recall, I thought one of the most powerful bits from Jeremy Corbyn, which was a tremendous campaign, was when he said we need a different attitude to Brexit. We need to take the heat and the anger out of the room. I'm paraphrasing, that's right. And I think he's absolutely right, because when you go in to get a divorce or go in to do a business deal, you don't necessarily start with your sleeves rolled up, one in a fist fight the minute you walk in. So I think, Carol, to say that if you voted Labour, you were voting for a very different Brexit, which underscores, I would say, your argument, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've been involved in business all my life and done all sorts of negotiations. I've never seen anyone who walks in and basically punches you on the nose and says, and that's what I want.
How has she done that? You go in and say what you want.
No, all negotiation is about making sure they get something and you get something.
So what you give them? You give them the 100 billion they're demanding.
You will have to. Well, even Mrs May knew she'd had to give them something.
Give them something, yeah, and find out what we're getting for that something.
Yeah, but you're not doing the negotiation. And unfortunately, I no longer think she can do the negotiation because I don't think you can trust her.
She can't.
And they think she's a joke figure. Now.
Yeah, Carol's wrong and Carol's right, because Theresa May did call the election. She said it was a Brexit election. She continued during the campaign saying the June the 8th poll was the only poll that mattered. So she lost her mandate on the Brexit election. That said, Carol has a point. There is no such thing as a soft Brexit.
No.
If you remain in the ECJ, if you remain in the single market and the customs union, you're not leaving Europe. So what we have, if a soft Brexit is, look at it like this, is Hotel California. You check out, but you never leave. The hard Brexit is we leave everything, we crash out. 97% of EU nurses stop, applying for the NHS. Our economy tanks. We're Fawlty Towers, but minus Manuel, because we're not going to have any of the people who are going to come in and serve in our coffee shops, in our free, it's... So,
nothing
the
like
country has
stereotyping.
to decide whether it wants
Shut up, you thick
Brexit or no Brexit. It's not soft, hard, fast, clean, open or shut. It's Brexit or no Brexit.
How about successful Brexit?
No, it doesn't exist.
How about successful? Yes, it can.
What is a successful Brexit?
Why can't we have a... Well,
name me one advantage of Brexit. There's not a nebulous sovereignty argument.
A successful Brexit would be for us to negotiate a deal where we can trade with the rest of the world and with the EU in a frictionless agreement. And the only way we're going to get a frictionless agreement is if they decide to give
us one. If she went in and said that, they'd say that's cake and eat it. That's the thing that inflames our European partners more than anything else. You either in or you're out of the club.
Okay, so let's be out. Let's walk away without a deal.
That's 40 towers.
Let's walk away without
That's what you want.
What I'm saying is that you're now on the losing side. The people who believe we're going to walk away with no deal, it's just not realistic
so Peace Today saying that even if we walk away with no deal, we will be 156 billion quid a year better off immediately.
Okay, let me show you a clip. Let me show you a clip from the real hero of this election. If you look at it, Ruth Davidson,
Lord Buckethead.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at what Ruth Davidson said about this.
Well, look, there's an awful lot of issues surrounding Brexit that need to be discussed. Clearly, there is no majority government that's come through after this election, and that means that we do have to listen to other parties. It means we have to listen to other actors and agents, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
So, I mean, and she, if she can control her 12 MPs or whatever it is, she can decide what we do. She is very powerful. Because DUP aren't really that powerful. It's just getting a load of money for Northern Ireland,
well, which
of course will upset a lot of the Welsh and the Scots. But she has real power in the Conservative Party now because she's the only one who seemed to be a winner in the Conservative Party in this. And she was a Remainer, and she, with the Scottish people voting to remain, and she can influence it. And I think that...
Disregarding the majority of the will of the British people in the process.
I think that is well. Oh, no, there will be a proper discussion. We will end up with a proper discussion, as opposed to Mrs May deciding herself and overruling everybody.
But the point is, Greg, the point is, though, for me, is that none of us know how the negotiations are going to play out. I think we've got a consistently sort of weakening hand in some respects. This, the election being the most recent thing that weakens us a bit. But isn't it time that people were really just very honest about how this could play out? It can only play out, I think, two ways. One is we leave completely, and that satisfies the majority, the 52%. But we have to be realistic about what leaving completely is and actually deal with that. And we've got 18 months to try and prepare for what that looks like. But it's based on reality. I can't see how there is a reality where everyone wins.
But my fear is what will come to pass is that we'll end up with something like the Norway Agreement, which actually means you're not in it. You still pay a massive fee. It means you still have freedom of movement, and it means that you have to take EU laws without ever being able to contribute to them. That's what we'll end up, which we might as well stay in if that's going to be
that's what Rachel's saying.
But that's pointless.
Carol, you concede the point that Greg made, that the opening tone set by Mrs May was not the correct one.
But how do you go into negotiations with... You don't go in meek, you go in strong, don't you?
No, you don't go in head-butting. You don't go in head-butting.
Well, she wasn't head-butting.
Oh, she was.
On the one hand, you're saying she's weak and boring. On the other hand, you're saying she's head-butting. She went in saying... She has a responsibility to say what this country wants. She shouldn't be cowering behind closed doors.
She's never asked the country what it wants.
Well, the country told her...
She hasn't consulted anyone else on
the country gave her a mandate,
Brexit, on the shape of Brexit. All she said was a stronger, better Brexit. It's completely meaningless formulation. She never explained Brexit at all during the election.
I think it's pretty
We elect a parliament to represent us. They should be consulted now. That's all I'm saying. And if they've got any sense, the Remainers will get together and say, right, these are the conditions now. These are the conditions. We're not leaving it to you, Mrs May, because you have no authority anymore. You are yesterday's president. Oh, what was it that George Osborne called her?
A dead woman walking. And that's a bit unfair. He's doing that because he just doesn't want the Tories to do anything now because they sacked him.
Well, they can't do anything because they haven't got any power.
And there's a man who walked away from his responsibilities as well, walked away from his constituents because he didn't have a ministerial job anymore. That's what
he left Parliament.
Yeah, he left, yeah.
I don't think that means
he got sacked as a minister. And
then Mrs May famously told him that he was out of touch with the Conservative voters and then she went on to prove how close in touch she was.